What is happening out there? Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Profit Plan. Let's get started. All right. We're live on Zoom, live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, live on Twitter. Everybody, happy Friday. How goes it? All right. Tom in the house, first and foremost. Double ups were fun yesterday. Got a double out of everything or everyone. Added a fourth to the end of the day for a big play. Very nice. I shared this in Telegram yesterday. Well, I shared this on Twitter. I shared this on YouTube. I posted the key levels 7150, 7130, 7100. SPX closed at 7108. We had a pin price. Let me go to my double up alerts here. We had a pin price at 7105. So we had this one was there should be a center one here that was this. All right. So the 7105 was the correct one. I need to update this to what was the middle one? I think we had a middle one it was either 30 or 25. Let me double check. Anyway, we took a huge win on the pin one that was around 7105. Price settled around 7108.41 from what I saw on TradingView yesterday. So pin price 7105. It's worth $1,500. Okay, we paid $1.35 for that trade. So, 1,500 minus $1.35. Max profit potential 1365. It was off by $3.41. So max profit $1,000 on a $135 debit. So a 758% winner on that pin yesterday for double ups. I just need to update this to figure out what was the middle one from yesterday. Give me 1 second here. The center one was 40, 25, and 10. I'm going to change this from this one here. 40. So 71, 10. And then 25, 40. That was the center one for $2.30. So we had a loss, and we had a win. So we lose, huge winner for 758%, and a loss. You still made 80% return on total risk. Winning one trade, losing two, making 80% on your total capital. Not a bad day. Okay. I mentioned in Telegram, if you want to come into today's session and decode this chart with me, I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. So as the day continued, I started to place a few more trades around that 7100 to 7110 zone. And I had another pin at 7100, another pin at 7110, another pin at 7105. So on the day, I had three big winners, took a loss, took a loss, took a loss. So three winners inside my profit trap with the butterfly spreads, three losses, ended up making about $2,500 yesterday. Not too shabby. So anyway, fun stuff. Just part of the process. I love that this is how the win rate is, I probably should go through my spreadsheet here and group these trades together, but we've already taken 150 trades. I don't really feel like doing that right now. But I do know that if you allow me to trade, for the day, we typically carve out winners, about 75 to 80% of the time. Because there have been many trades that I've taken where I win one, I lose one, and we still make money. In a case like yesterday, I lose two, win one, we still make money. If I did that individually, my win percentage would be quite low. I mean, I lost two trades. I only won 33% of my trades yesterday, but we still made money. So if you let me group these together, when I do that, of course, when I'm trading the markets up or down, then this win rate goes up to about 75 to 80%. And the best part is the percentage is pretty darn high. A 757% winner feels pretty good, right? All right. Anyway, that's a little bit of double ups. If you'd like to get onto the action, do it. We've been talking about it all week. Okay. What's happening global between 60 minutes? All about that SPX. All about it. Yes. Nice, Walter. Join double ups. Can't wait to join some winners. Fantastic. Did we get all 3 trades? Yep, we had all 3. I mean, we won one. We had the mid one at 71.05. So can you overlap the butterflies without messing up the trade structure? Well, overlapping, you can sneak in if you're going like 10 or 15 or 20 wide in those strikes, you can sneak in other contracts. The nice thing about trading SPX or XSP is you can trade call butterfly spreads or put butterfly spreads as long as we're entering into that trap near the end of the day. It pays whether it's a call butterfly or a put butterfly. So I don't have a screenshot of my broker yesterday, but I'll show you the option chain because it was pretty wild. Just because I had, call butterfly spread, spread sprinkled in where the strikes didn't overlap, put butterfly spread, the strikes didn't overlap. And I was really like peppering that like 7,100 to 7,110 zone. I even said in my update for the alerts yesterday, you should have seen this in the one click trading member portal. I'm seeing a net $100 across all 3 butterflies, 7,100 to 7,115 looking promising for a pin area today. If you want out, close all and take the net profit. If you want to ride it to the close to see if we can win within plus or minus 5 points of one of these pin prices. Were we inside this pin price? 71.08. It's pretty good, right? And each one of these pins, we gave ourselves like a 15 wide, and we're sitting right in the middle of it at 71.08 at the close. So it's pretty nice we can do that. It's certainly not going to happen all the time, but my goal is to try to make it happen as much as possible and give us some good yielding trades at the end of the day. Yep. So to answer your question, yes, I mean you can overlap. Like I said, I got a little bit more aggressive near the end of the day. Look, it was a pretty wild day. I mean, looking at this volatility. By the way, who got filled on daily profit play? I had to audible into that trade and change my spread to a 15 wide to get my $50.75. Did anybody get filled on the original 50 cents and a dollar? When this thing was dropping pretty aggressively, we had our 71.75 and 71.80, and then we had a 70.45 and 70.40. Who got filled at 50 cents? Who got filled at a dollar and change? Did anybody get filled? I mean, I audibled. I didn't. I saw this was trading for still like 40 to 45 cents. I canceled. I just went 10 to 15 wide once we started to spike back up, and I lowered my call side to about 71.50. I just thought, well, based on this market dropping, I mean, unless we're going to reflexively go all the way back up, I lowered the call strikes for a bit more premium, and then I mean, we were really close to the low. That's why we also like to stick with those lower deltas. Okay. I think yesterday when we started looking at that 70.45 ish was like a 10 delta or an 8 delta. And, price came to test. And that makes things a little wild and crazy. Looking at the expected move box yesterday, it did test the downside and then came back and closed within. So market makers still did their job, which is nice. On top of that, we were able to get that pin price on double ups for the 71.05, which is even better. Let's see here. Got some fills. Yeah, so we got did yes. Got 50 cents, got filled the original for 75 cents, got filled for 50 cents, got filled for a dollar. 2 at 50 cents. Okay, great. It's filled at 50 cents. Nice, 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 nice. Filled on a new one for $2. Good. Filled at 165. Got filled at 50 cents, and then at 150. Excellent. Uh, but the 150 filled $2 when I jumped in. Yeah. So did you hang on to it? I mean, when the day kind of settled back in, once we had this is a 5 minute chart. So we had aggressive price action here for about 30 minutes. Market was down 86 points in no time. I mean, that was 1 p.m. to about 1:45. Wow. So 45 minutes, the market drops. We had a plus minus 36.80. It more than doubled yesterday. So at one point from the open, the market was down about 75 points. That is just over double the expected move. So today's expected move, let me get logged in here to Tasty Trade. I think today's expected move is in the 40s from what I saw. We do have futures opening a little bit higher this morning as well. Nice. Catherine says took 220, closed both trades, got out for a dollar profit. Excellent. Held it. Good. Full gain. Awesome. Yep. Very good. 37 on Thinkorswim. Okay, I'm logging into Tasty right now. I think Tasty's going to be a little bit higher, I believe. I saw it this morning around 40 something. SPX this morning, I'm showing, oh my gosh, oh yeah, okay, 45.31, 45.31. All right, so let's update this. 45.31. Let this bad boy open up in about 20 minutes and see if brokers do their job. Taking a look at some of the gamma this morning, 7150 seems to be a pretty big strike. And I would also venture to say that either 7100 or 7150 are going to be good candidates for a potential pin price today as well. There's not much up here. Okay. So I'm looking somewhere around 7150, 7100. I don't know if I'm going to jump in right away this morning, and I might just wait until afternoon and see if I can find a better trade. Let's see what we real time gamma levels this morning. I mean, we closed at 7108. We're gapping higher by like 0.3 or 0.4%. Futures up 0.34%. So we're going to have a little bit of a boost to the upside. So 0.34. That puts us around 7130. Market's having a hard time. Here's our previous high from April 17th, around 47. Here's the test of that level, right around 48. I think that was just a subtle poke to those highs, and then the market sold off right after. We really came down and tested the same low. So, I mean, the market so far is just finding some structure support, structure resistance, and we'll see if it just kind of hangs out. So, 50 pin price and also resistance, 7100 pin price and kind of the equilibrium of this range. Lows yesterday around 70.50. So a couple key levels to watch on. Yep, 45 on Tasty. So I'll bank on that 45.31 for my expected move. We're gonna have a gap higher. Okay, so if we gap higher, expected move will be that plus or minus 45. See if we can pull in some premium there. And then because of the gap higher, I'll start my puts 45 lower. We'll see what that looks like for a Friday. Hopefully that's enough to pull in. Look, I'll look at the trade. It's just what I saw yesterday was terrible credit. The market finally started moving, give us some volatility. We got filled. Okay, same thing today. It's like if the market is really choppy and slow, I probably will have to just sit and wait with a pending order on daily profit play. I don't think I'm going to get the type of premium that I want up front. If I go to my expected move box high, my gap adjusted expected move box low, and sell my bear call spread, bull put spreads, depends on what the broker is going to give me. But I doubt that I'm going to see $1 on a 5 wide right away. It's probably going to be trading for like 50 or 60 cents, just like it was yesterday. I mean, yesterday was even worse. We were looking at our levels. It was like 35 cents, 40 cents. So just kind of waiting it out and see if there's any volatility to give us a nudge and get us filled. Okay. All right. Let's get some comments here on YouTube. What's up, Daniel? How are you, man? Next Gen, good morning. Chris is in the house. Mark, good morning. Intel broke all-time highs. Yes, it did. It did. So we're at 82 and change. Couple things interesting. So my calendar spread's probably garbage on this one, which is okay. Well, not okay. It's going to be a loss most likely. Pre-market on Love is looking pretty great. So we should have a nice calendar spread profit on LUV for newsbreakers. And Verizon didn't have earnings yet. This is going to be next week. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. Trying to think, where did I put my pin on Verizon? Let me double check. Verizon is at 45.5. So we'll see if that level hangs out. Intel, I took that bonus trade. I did that little Batman ratio spread combo. That is getting tested. And I might end up taking a small loss in that one versus having, Intel just continue to rip. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd obviously love to see the expected move on Intel, by the way, should not have gone 25%. That is for darn sure. INTC, I mean, I think the government's up like 250% on Intel. So let's see here. Average move is about 11.5%. That's average earnings moves. That's up 26% from yesterday's close to earnings. So that's a huge beat as far as price action. That's double what was expected. It is what it is. I do wonder if the market's going to be filling this gap a little bit, kind of right away, because that certainly catches some market makers off guard. But depending on what this looks like on that bonus ratio spread combo, I might just take the hit, take the loss. Um, but I mean, really, my level's 84, 85. It's out to May. So I'll see. I might sit on the trade just a little bit longer and see if this will maybe help fill the gaps today. Did anybody see CAR or Avis Budget? Look at this piece of crap. Now, we looked at the premiums on this, whether you're buying calls or puts or trying to do something on this, it was insanely expensive. We were talking about this stock when it was right around $500. It squeezed all the way up to 848. So yesterday we opened, tested the highs at 850 almost, and just freaking dumped for 2 straight days. It would have been lovely to be short. I just don't know how expensive that put would have been. I mean, I had a feeling that put was probably more than what anybody really want to pay if you just bought a put. It's going to be terribly expensive. But it would have been nice to get a bear put spread in or something cost effective. Anyway, it is what it is. I wish I would have kind of hung out on this trade a little bit longer, paying attention day to day. That's a tough trade. We're talking about it at 500 goes all the way to 850. And I mean, even getting like that first day of dropping, I would be, out of that trade so fast when this thing's down in one day. This thing's down, 40% one day. That would be a freaking awesome trade. So there you go. Pete says made $3,800 on my short put spread. Nice, dude. Was it asymmetric, by the way? That was the one thing I was kind of miffed with looking at it earlier in the week is I didn't see it offering like more profit than risk. The premiums were so expensive, even doing, I guess if you did like an out of the money bear put spread, maybe. Mike already answered that, right? Yeah, take a look at Discord. I answered this morning. I slept like crap last night, so I was up I've been up since like 3 a.m. 100 wide spread. Okay, yeah, I got you. Let's see here. I looked because I was curious. $500 puts were trading for $78 on 422 with a 50% drop puts right now. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I mean, the stock dropped 40+%. I mean, it's down like almost 60% from this high. From this high, the stock has dropped 73% in 2 trading days. Steve says, what drove that drop in CAR? I don't know. Probably the bullshit squeeze that it had. Do you think that a car company should have been up like this? A rental car company? I mean, number one, it was a short squeeze. It was up 700% in 30 days. So, I mean, it's just really the market calling bullshit on this whole thing. But, crazy stuff happens and it's tough. It's tough to get a trade you want. And the premiums were insane. The premiums were expensive on both sides. I mean, you can go back to the sessions this week on Monday and Tuesday. Monday, I talked about CAR. I mean, this was Wednesday when it started the big fade. But I looked at, what was it? A call ratio back spread, a put ratio back spread. I looked at an inverse iron condor. I mean, I got nothing as far as like asymmetry on the trade. The put ratio back spread would have been actually no, the call ratio back spread would have been pretty sweet because that's the one where you can have unlimited downside potential, but there's no harm if it goes higher because you cover that dead zone. The problem was that dead zone was 100 points wide. But the crazy part is it was covered. The 100 points wide was easily covered because it was up from where we talked about it on Monday. It was up, $300 to $400 from here. And of course, it drops all the way back down, 75%. So anyway, I'm not going to get caught up in it. I'm just curious if anybody, we talked about it this week, if anybody grabbed some bucks on it because it was quite the mover. So this is more in line with what the car company should be doing. But this is the type of crazy shenanigans that the market does. And there's obviously winners and losers in an environment like this. I'm sure traders made some money and then gave it all back. I'm sure traders overpaid for premiums and all of a sudden got stuck in some terrible trades. But if you carved out anything on it, good for you. Yeah, nice. Mark says made some good money on the bear call spreads. All right, good stuff. Okay, I want to take a look at a couple other spots here. So here's SPX. I wanted to take a look at some quick gamma levels on the Mag 7s. I'm going to take a look at Intel today and see if that one sticks out at all. I'm looking at some levels around 83 or 85 on pin prices today, unless there's a quick fade. Let's take a look at, let's see, I have Tesla, maybe looking at some short-term options today. They have earnings this week as well. Tesla has a couple of pin prices, 380, 375, 370, depending on where we open today. I wouldn't mind looking at maybe a double up butterfly spread somewhere in these. If I went to 375, Depends on how wide that is. If I went like 20 or 30 wide, it's going to be a little pricey, but I think we'd have some pin prices somewhere in here. There's a pretty big spot around 370 on the day. So I'll kind of come back to Tesla and see if I can get a trade later this afternoon. Nvidia, see if there's any pin action today. Pretty good pin spot between 200 and 202. So maybe a little zero. I mean, the nice thing about these Mag 7 stocks with Monday, Wednesday, Friday expirations is you can take a 0 DTE on Friday of expiration. And, Tesla and NVIDIA are typically the most liquid stocks out there as far as high option volume. And if we get a 200 to 200 to 202.50 pin, I mean, if you're willing to go, probably 10 wide seems to be reasonable. If you try to pin that 202, go 10 wide, see what that payoff is. It might be a 1-to-1, 1.5-to-1, 2-to-1. May not be a bad trade if price just lingers around 202.50 today. So might hang in there. I think those look pretty good for some action. News trades 424 expirations. So Love looks pretty good. Intel's probably going to be a loss. Verizon's going to be fine. Those are the three trades I've had for the Newsbreakers service this week. So LUV, this should be showing some pretty good profit this morning. We're going to open up probably around $38. My pin price is $39. It's today's expiration on the sell call. There should be no assignment. I'm just going to see this thing hopefully bump up. This is over $40 of profit. I'm hoping it's more than that. That's the reason I waited for today's open is I'm hoping this jumps up to like $60, $70, $80. Max profit on this thing's up to like $200. So, I mean, we can sit on this thing all day if we want to, but if this gets, up $50, that's more than 100% return. And let's see if I can get, maybe eke out $100 of profit on this thing. And then on XSP, that is my engineered options for next week. We're looking pretty good there. We need to see if price will stay above the 714, which is 7140 SPX, which would be all-time highs. We have the break-even trade at 711, which is 7110. So keep an eye on that for engineered options for Monday. Verizon, had the trade on Verizon for next week. So we'll see if that's a calendar spread that does well next week. I think I have a news trade on this one as well. Where did my Intel go? Am I getting maybe something? Let me see what Intel's up. What's up with Intel? Where did it go? Here we go. Yeah, so I did the calendar spread 67. I'm risking $82. It's probably down, all of that. It's probably going to be full risk on that $82, which is fine. There's my bonus ratio spread combo. I'm gonna evaluate this one today. I need price to stay below 80, basically above below $86. But this trades out 28 days from now. So if there's a bit more of a squeeze to the upside, I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of this trade. So this is either something to make an executive decision on today, or I let this thing marinate over the weekend and see if there's a little bit of a gap fill and pullback over the weekend coming into Monday, Tuesday next week. And then maybe ride this out a little bit longer and see if that Intel, earnings gap at 26% when it's supposed to be about 11%, maybe gives us a little bit of a pullback. Okay. All right. So that's what I've got prepped for this morning. And we'll see if we can land some pin prices. I'm going to look at some Tesla this afternoon. I'll look at some Intel. Or I'm sorry, Tesla and NVIDIA. See if we can get a couple pin prices out there today, which would be pretty nice. That way, it's not just all about the index, which is great. I mean, obviously, I trade SPX a lot, pretty much every single day. And we'll see how this evolves in real time. But 7150 seems like a pretty good pin price today. And 7100 of things, shift. So if we, are opening up around 7135, maybe poke that 7150 and fade, I'm hoping that by the end of the day, we're either back to the 7150 area or we're back to 7100 and we just see if we can, land a pin. So just debating on, where do I put it? Do I put it, 45 and go 15 to 20 wide? Do I go 7105 and go 15 to 20 wide? It's going to leave me with a little bit of weakness in the middle in case we somehow want to settle in. But if I let the day kind of unfold, this tends to give me a little bit more of a, answer by like 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon. By about 2 in the afternoon, I can kind of see like where most of the order flows and pins are starting to stack up. So gives me a little bit more, a little bit more confidence that if I'm going to put on some butterfly spreads, I can start adding those later in the day. Okay. All right. What else? PO says yesterday was awesome. Tesla reported yeah, I know they did. I'm just looking at just a zero DT. It has nothing to do with earnings. I know they reported earnings. I'm looking to see if they will get a pin price out today. And it looks like Tesla, and also it's just a super high option volume stock. So I mean, we're opening up. Let me see pre-market on Tesla. 375. The market didn't like the fact that they're going to be increasing spending quite a bit. I don't know if it was like 20 billion or 30 billion, but the spending package is going to be much higher in the future, and a lot of that's just capex spending. It's AI, it's humanoids, it's the biggest project undertakings they're looking at, and the market didn't really love it, despite beating earnings on top and bottom lines. So we're at 375, and pin prices showing either the 380 or the 370. I mean, honestly, 375 kind of splits the difference. If we have like a 380 pin or 370 pin, if I went 375 and tried to go, let's say 15 wide, that would put me at 360 and up to, 390. So if price stayed in that range, we can probably grab a couple of bucks. That might be a 1-to-1 or better. I might take a stab at that. There's a decent gamma level at 370. See if it kind of bounces around, but I'll probably look at taking this trade later today versus just throwing it in the first thing in the morning. Okay, so we'll see how that kind of unfolds as price action takes over. So yeah, Nvidia, Tesla, looking at those. Nvidia looks honestly pretty boring. I hope it is. If it's very boring today, this could be a great stock just to get some decent premium. Let's take a look and see where we're going to open on Nvidia. Pre-market's up about 200 bucks. I mean, yeah, I'd love to see you just kind of chop around here for the day and just hang out between 200, 201, 202. That's where I'm at. So 200 to 202. I wish we could split the difference. We kind of have to choose a strike. But if I chose the 202.50, 202.50, go down 10 bucks, go up 10 bucks. If it settles somewhere in here, as long as that debit is, only a couple of dollars, I don't mind that trade. It might be more than that. It might be a $3 or $4 debit, but if it offers, 2-to-1 and we stay somewhere pinned between like 205 and 200, I think that's a pretty good trade on the day for Nvidia. So, pretty big gamma at 202.50. Nice, Gex profile here at 202.50. So I'd say between that 200, 250, I'd probably look at like 10 wide, 10 wide to be safe. If you want to be really, really safe and cast a pretty wide net for the day, $12.50 to $15 wide. Just depends on what that cost is, but I'm pretty sure you could land a 1-to-1 on that. What would be the best way to invest in SpaceX for the IPO? That's a great question. I know what is the stock that we played a couple, I don't know, a few weeks ago? Wasn't it like VTX or something like that? VCX. VCX is that what it is? Common shares of limited liability company. I mean, it's some type of like capital raise, and then there's like PPTA, same type of thing. These are those like pre-market IPO things. I just pulled this. There's like this $500 minimum like private equity stake, but it's not with SpaceX. It's with like Anthropic and XAI and some other ones. Um, but to my knowledge, like VCX, I think you have some SpaceX exposure there. I think you do. Let me see. VCX Holdings. See what it shows. Let's see. Capital Group VCX Vicinity. That's not right. Fundrise Innovation. This one. I think it's this one. Give retail investors access to private technology companies, including AI, space exploration, and fintech. Yeah, so it's that fun. I mean, I'll do some more digging into that. So, all right, let's get it's grind. It's go time. It's 71.36. We open up higher. Gamma at 50 and 60. Expect the move box is up to 81, and lows around. Looks like I've got lows at 63. Let's place some strikes. SPX. So I've got the gap adjusted high around 81. I'm gonna go 85, that's a 10 delta. I'll match that delta on the put side. 65, that's my downside. Close at 63, I'll go 1 strike lower. Let's go to 60.55 here. So right now that 5 wide is trading for 70 cents. I'm gonna put it in for $1 for a pending order daily profit play. Echo Star, is that does it actually hold SpaceX though, Pete? Or is that just like a proxy because it's in the space exploration arena? DXYZ has 16.2 SpaceX. There you go. That was the other one I was thinking of. I know Kane talked about that one a couple weeks ago. All right. Let me see. If we have trades on LUV, we should have a couple bucks on LUV. Yeah, it's up over 100%. I'm going to close profit on that one for right now. If you're in LUV, we're up. Well, I take that back. I'm up about 59%. Let me see where this thing can go for the rest of the day. Let me build out a quick option strat. Let me get the trade in for daily profit play. So pending order, daily profit play. SPX on the 24th. I'm going 71. I think I'm going 71.80 by 85. So 85 by 90. And 70.60. 70.55. Okay. Pending order for $1. Okay. Pending order. Let's see if we get some volatility to get us filled. Keep an eye on the live GEX this morning. I kind of like this trade on NVIDIA. It's going to be somewhat pricey this morning just because we're trading right at the money around 202. But let me see what this one prices out to look like for NVIDIA. Hopefully, it's going to be a somewhat boring stock today. But you can go 0 DTE. Premiums, again, aren't going to be super fantastic. But if I looked at a put spread, let's go 10 wide. 10 wide. Oh, that's awful. That's not what I want. Now, there's a high probability this will pay. That's a little bit less risk to make the same amount of money. Wow, that's crazy. Um, I mean, I would imagine this is going to be a pretty safe trade in the day. But it's going to cost me $750 to make, upwards of 250. Now, the issue with this trade is price. I mean, it really tightens up my butterfly. I don't really like this trade. So this puts my break even at $200, and it puts my break even at 205. Jeez. So if you're pinning at 202.50, you need price to stay within, this range. You might as well tighten it up and take on less risk. If I went 210, 195, it cost me less. Go 197. I mean, now it costs you 282 to make 220. That's a little bit better trade. It's still about the same break even prices. So, I mean, again, it's not a bad trade, but I don't love the slight higher risk than reward. If we do have Nvidia moving it all today and not going only $2, I mean, you're paying a pretty decent debit for this thing to stay within that $2 range. So I'll come back to this later in the day. If it's going to be this price, I might as well not pay for the time. See if we can get this thing later this afternoon to see if it hangs out around that 20200 or 202.50 level again. Tesla. Those pin prices around the 380 to 390 zone. So 380 to 370. I mean, looking at like a 375 wouldn't be terrible. Again, 375. If I went, let's go 10 wide here. See what that looks like. Similar, right? So this is this is just over a 1-to-1, which isn't terrible. It's just going to be a little bit more volatile than Nvidia. This one, could dance around a little bit between 380, 375, 370. But I wouldn't mind looking at a couple of pin prices here. The only thing I don't love about this is if I did a bunch of butterfly spreads on Tesla, I have to close this thing by the end of the day. I don't want there to be assignment if it's inside my strikes. I want to make sure the broker's not going to do anything silly like that and assign me something. It shouldn't be assigned at all. If I take it for today, it shouldn't be assigned, but I need to get out of this thing before it closes at 4 p.m. So again, I'll probably come back to this later today and see if I can nail down something a little bit more obvious. All right, here's my SPX. So we're at 71.23. I'd say that 7,100, 7,150 levels look pretty good. We're sitting in the middle, so it should be pretty cheap to trade either one of these. 7,100, not too bad. Let's see where the positive negative gamma pivot is. 7,105 again. Okay. I'll probably look at a pin price at 7,105. See what that looks like right now if I like SPX. So daily profit play still pending. Trading for about 70 cents. I'm not taking the trade unless it's a buck. If you like the trade, you can go after. I mean, you could take it for 60 cents and it's fine. But you're risking, if you're just doing a one contract trade, you're risking 440 to make 60. If there's a little bit more direction, hopefully this gets filled at $1. That's a pretty good trade. I wouldn't mind taking this for a couple of contracts. Okay, yeah, so we got VCX, you got DXYZ, and Echo Star. Those have been posted in the chat, so those might work if you want to do some digging on those. All right, let me see. I like the 7105. Let's see what this is going to cost if I did a little butterfly spread. So it cost me $1.50 on the day. That's pretty cheap. I mean, so $300 here. Not bad. This is pretty cheap. If I get under $300, it's not bad. You try 295. All right, I'm going to put on a couple of butterfly spreads here. 295. This is for double up. I'm putting a 7105, and I'm going 20 wide on that butterfly spread. I'll look at a call butterfly as well at the 50 zone. See if we can pin around 50. So between 50 and 60, I think I'm just going to go right at 50 because if we're in between 50 and 60 or 50 and, this 30 zone, somewhere in here back at the highs around 48, 47. See if I can get another pin at 50. So that's 50, 70, and 30. Go 20 wide. I don't love that it's more expensive by quite a bit, but if I tighten it up, I don't know. This just gives me a slightly better profit trap. I don't mind paying for it. That's just going to be like the two trades I put on for the day. And then I'll kind of assess and, maybe throw in another butterfly as we get near to expiration at the end of the day. So let me look at a 4. There we go. Let's try to get like 420 here. I don't want to pay this much, but it's 20 wide versus 15. So I'm going to take the trade for like 420, 425. Put a couple of pins out there for the day. All right. So let's go. Okay, double up's getting some love this morning. Where is my Slack channel? Crap. Hang on a second. All right. Daily profit play pending order. Double up. New trades. Today's the 24th. All right. So the call side got filled for 420. If you get a less debit, that's great. Buy the 7130. Sell the 7150. And buy the 7170. That's a 420 debit. And then the 424, the 7100 zone. Buy the 71.25, sell the 71.05, and 70.85 for $2.95 debit. Max risk. Looking for 7100 pin or 7150 pin with my gamma profiles. Okay. Overall, you just want to look at those two trades and try to manage some net profit. You want to get out early, manage net profit. Manage net profit. If getting out early. Okay. So trades in. All right. So I've got a pin in at 50. I've got a pin at 7105. Okay. So as the day continues, if we're, near this green line or near this green line, that's great. My pending order for daily profit play is an 85 by 90. So it'd be way up here. 85 and down to 70.60 down here. So I'm going to put these as black lines to say I want to be below this line, I want to be above this line, and I want to be at near the end of the day. I'd like to be at one of these levels here, but above this line and below this line for daily profit play. Again, pending order. I haven't been filled on daily profit play yet. They'll be posted. Yeah, they'll be posted inside of One Click Trading. I actually asked the team yesterday. I'm asking to get a Telegram update for both double ups and waterfall income. Look, if I'm taking the trade live with you, I want it to be as live as possible. Telegram is a lot faster than trying to, send the alert out. I take the trade, I post it to the team, they send it out in One Click Trading. So they're just going to add a Telegram, and hopefully that's done next week. That way, it's a little bit more real time when I take the trade. I just throw it right in Telegram. That's what I'm doing for a lot of other services. So I think it's worthy of that. Double up is going to be pretty active. So is waterfall income. We do it every single week. So yeah. All right. So check your one click trading for double ups. It should pop up in Telegram here in just a few seconds, maybe like 30 to 60 seconds. The trade is not super time sensitive. The price, don't pay more than I did. If it's 5 cents more, okay. But if it's cheaper, pay less. I still like the trades. I like the levels. I'm watching this 7150 and 7100. I think these have the most promising pins for later in the day, which is what I'm after. If we just come somewhere around these by the end of the day, that's what I'm after. Okay. All right, let me do a quick spot check on that call ratio spread or that combo ratio spread on Intel. I'll probably close up LUV for a winner. Yep. So this is not in the zone. So I might just take the loss in this thing. I'm not out of it yet. Usually when I manage this credit side, I would manage this for about a 300% loser. So I pulled in $1.86. So that's a 200% loss right there. And there's a 300% loss. So if I take the loss of 558, or I should say the debit of 550, let me see what this is trading for debit wise right now. 605. Actually, I should sorry. I should watch my mouth. No, I should take the loss. If I sit on this trade, I don't want the risk to get too much worse. We already had a huge move to the upside, but the potential squeeze on Intel, I don't know. I guess I can sit on this for the day. If I sit in this for the day and we start to turn red, then that's a good sign that we would just start to fade this gap a little bit. Why would I be willing to hold the trade even though it's kind of through my stop loss area? I had a rough stop around 200%. It's there. But if we turn red, I mean, we only expected like an 11% move in the earnings print, and it came up 26%. Now it can obviously print and go, and I'm just going to take on more heat. The smart thing is probably just to get out of the trade. So realistically, the smart thing is get out of the trade. Let me see if I can limit this to like $400. So if I get out for a 586, see if I can get out for 586. 586 debit. I mean, if this was less expiration, then I wouldn't be as worried about it. But the fact that I've got to sit on this thing for another 28 days is really not what I wanted. So, if the market was only going to give us like a 5 to 6 to 8% move on Intel, this wouldn't even be a problem. But the fact that it jumped, 2.5 times what was expected, it's like, yep, my trade got in a little trouble. It is what it is. I'm just going to take the loss here between like a $5.95 and $6 debit. $5.94 I got out. So I'm out of the trade. That bonus trade, I'm taking a loss. Okay. It's not worth, guessing if it can't go higher. It's like, obviously can go higher. I don't want to get stuck in that freaking squeeze. That's an undefined risk trade. So I'm going to go ahead and define it and take the loss right now. So I lost, just over $400 on that trade. It's fine. So bonus trade right here. I'll just repaste this. Bonus trade update. Okay. Intel blew out the expected earnings move by 2.5 times. I'm closing for 594 debit and taking the managed loss. There may be a gap fill by our expiration, but this is undefined risk if price goes higher, and I'm not willing to find out. Okay, just getting out with a small loss. Okay, now let's look at. So I'm only down half the profit here. I'm going to take the small loss on Intel. I'm only down about 37 bucks. I'm going to take the small loss on newsbreakers for Intel. Let's get out of this thing for, maybe we can grab, 20, let's grab 30 cents credit, get a little bit more profit out of this if we can. 30 cents credit, take a small loss. Very manageable if I get out of this thing for like 25 cents maybe. All right, Intel closing out for 25 cents. Newsbreakers, INTC, calendar spread. Entry was 81 cents, 82 cents debit. Closing at 25 cents credit. Okay, taking a small loss there. And then on LUV, we should have a decent winner on LUV. That one could get a little bit bigger throughout the day. We're trading at 38.76. My pin is 39. This is up nearly 100%. That's pretty good. This one can get a lot better by the end of the day. That's what's kind of nice about this one. Let me build this one out again. Let me go to option strat and build out a little calendar spread here. So I did the 39. This is on LUV. So it's a 39 and 39. Okay, so we're trading at 30. We're trading at 38.72. So if I move this over 38.72, we're right in here. Okay, we are right in here. Now I'm already in the trade. This shows a debit of $67. We got in this thing for a debit of 41 cents. So we're saving a little bit on the debit side, which means this should be able to go up to maybe net profit, add another 20. So maybe like 100. I could probably make like $140 on this trade. If I ride this thing out for the day, I could probably get this up to like $130 to $140 of profit because I did a 2-contract calendar spread. I mean, 80 is not bad. That covers my small loss on Intel. That chips away at my little loss on Intel with the ratio spread bonus. So let's see. I think I'll just take the 80 bucks. There we go. I want over 100 bucks. There we go. Give me 100 bucks. Give me 100. Hopefully this is liquid enough to close this out here. 90. Let's try something generous like $1 and work our way down. So 95 cents maybe. See where our net closes at. Let's try 90 cents. $85 gets us over 100%. 85 cents. So LUV closing out. Newsbreakers. LUV. Entry was 41 cents debit. Closing at 85 cents credit. Taking the win. And that's over 100% return. So more than makes up that little Intel calendar spread. We'll see what Verizon does next week. Taking those two winners. So net, taking the winners. I'm all right with that. Let's go up to Newsbreakers. I'll update this. So LUV is an exit at 85 cents credit. So 107% winner there. And on Verizon, that's still running. Intel getting out of that one for 25 cents credit. So that's a small loss. 82 minus 25 is 57 bucks. So 52 out of 82, 63% loser there. So net winner 107, and then a loss of 63%. So we still managed, about a 44% winner out of those two trades. And that's okay. All right. So Intel, small loss. LUV, nice win, 107%. I'm happy with that on the calendar spread. Verizon should be in profit, but this one is going to be more action next week. Let's see if this one stays around like $45 or $46 going into next week or over the weekend. Okay, let's go back to SPX for today. See what price is doing. I'm still looking at the Iron Condor for daily profit play, trading at 50 cents. I'll keep an eye on it. Anything changing in our GEX profile? Still at 7150, 7100. Those look like the more promising pins. Okay, we'll see if we can, land one in the day. All right. What else is happening? Anything else you want to take a look at today? Is that CoreWeave? Let me check a couple things here. So this is IGV. This is the little software, Sassageddon type drama that the market's experienced this year. If we're lucky, this starts to carve out some lows. And then, honestly, the safe trade here is not to call the bottom. I'm very concerned that this bottom is not in. Yes, we have some decent lows back here to trade off of, but my concern is that if this low breaks, that's not a good look for a software. I think the safe trade is we break the highs, we get on the right side of the trend line. There's your software recovery. Or you take a stab at it when it's down here. If it's down here retesting these lows, you look at a low risk bottom, get out right away if you're buying the shares, or if you want to do a defined risk trade, it's like that's a good entry, take it back up towards $85 to $88. If it breaks up, I think that's where the actual, trend resumes. But anyway, software stuff is in some deep doo-doo at this time. Let me mark a chart alarm here at these lows. I might actually look at a trade myself around that probably $77 zone. Try to get some type of defined risk trade there. Again, I mean, if it goes lower, I don't want to be holding anything other than an option trade. If it breaks and goes higher, then there's probably some recovery to go, and that's a good sign. That probably helps us get to all-time highs with some of the IGV stuff. CoreWeave. CoreWeave. I wish there was more data on this thing, but I mean, do you love it? CRWV. Snowflake definitely has some risks. Um, price to earnings, price to sales. So 12 times sales, no cash flow, no discounted cash flow model. That's I don't know. It's kind of a nothing burger to me. I don't want to touch that stuff. Also, it's in the package software space, maybe around that 60, $69 zone, $70 zone. If it was worth it, if the premium was okay, maybe looking at like a 70 by 65 ratio spread. If you wouldn't mind owning the shares, I can take a look at that and see if that's something worthwhile. Um, we'll see. Let's find out. CRWV. Maybe going out to June. 70 by 65. This one might not be terrible. Okay. If you want a $500 profit trap, you're not going to get a buck for it. You tighten it up, you get $100. Yeah, I don't love it. You'd have to own the shares. You'd own the shares around 62.50. It's low. Probability of profit's pretty high. You're looking at about a 93% chance of profit in this trade to make a quick $100. You're going out 55 days. It's an income trade. It's not terrible. I mean, you're trading a 5 delta. I like it a little bit more, maybe doing like a 70 by 75. This one's not terrible. That way I get a $500 profit trap. We've got a 7 delta. Ivy rank isn't as high as I'd like it to be for this trade, though. That's a 35 Ivy rank. It's okay. It probably was a lot better when it was down here. So Ivy rank down here, going further out of the money than these lows. But yeah, I mean, if I did the trade, it's like 55 days isn't that long. And so I think that's a pretty safe income trade to also have a $500 buffer. If I want to go 10, maybe the 85 by 75. If this is over $100, I'd probably take the trade with that $1,000 profit trap. I don't mind the 75 by 70. That's a pretty simple income trade. I'll throw that in for my margin accounts. 92% chance of profit. If we hold these levels and, SAS again doesn't take a huge rip to the downside again, then this probably holds up and does fine. I don't love this though. I mean, it's just an income trade. I don't love this. Snowflake wise, it does have some risk. So this isn't something I'd want to necessarily say like I want to hang on to the stock. If I took this trade, I would be managing the credit side. Okay? So if this trade goes from $1.12 to like 3.50, I might just take the loss and just take like a 200 to 300% stop loss. It wouldn't be that big of a loss. It'd be a couple $100. Okay. I mean, it's out 55 days. It's not super long term. If I wanted more premium, let's try this. Here, I'm gonna craft a trade, and I'm gonna kind of give one of those scenarios where it's like I want price to come to me instead of the other way around. I'm not going to settle for that dollar. This is 60. I mean, 65 seems like, all right, if I'm going to take some shares, I'll own it cheaper than that. Let me go 80. 80 by 70, or I mean, that puts me at 65 with a $500 profit trap. This one's a little bit better. That's a $750 profit trap. Let's see if this one gets up for a buck. This one's going to be tough to trade. If I wanted this one for $1, I don't think I'm going to get filled for $1 when it's only offering 18 cents. This one's closer. I'll take this trade for $1.05 and cover. I'm going to cover the fees and everything for the option trade. So this is going to be like $102 of income. But I'm also building out a $750 profit trap, which helps me if I did own or flip the shares. My break even price is going to be 70 minus 750 minus $1.05. I'd own the shares at 61.45 for a very quick aggressive flip, which means I would just own the shares if I get assigned to prices below $70, add a covered call, flip it for a couple of dollars, and get out of the trade. So price has to come to me. I'll take this trade though. So does this fill at $1.05? It's trading for 68 cents right now. It's not enough. So if price falls a little bit, maybe this increases in credit. I get filled, plus I get a $7.50 buffer that keeps the deltas pretty low. So I'll take that trade if it fills at $1.05. Right there. So $5. Let me throw this in. This is going to be a margin account trade. Okay. So if I get filled on this trade, I will add this one into Project Options Edge. If it doesn't get filled, then I'm not even going to list it. But I want to see if it gets filled first, and then hopefully you can even grab like more credit than I do. All right. Let's get these all set up. Okay. All right. So pending orders. And if that gets filled, then I'll throw that in for Project Options Edge. Nice. Davis has been selling naked puts against it, 75 to 65 to 75 space. That's good. Yep, that's working out well. I mean, you're getting a couple bucks for that, right? You're getting, maybe $150 on those naked puts. How far are you going out on those? You going like 30 days, 30 to 45 days, something like that, or sooner? I mean, if you can go a week or two and actually get some dollars for it, that's good. Weekly and monthly, nice. Okay, I like it. Cool. All right, let's see where we're at for today. Things kind of hanging out in between 7105, 7150. It'd be lovely to see a little pin price action later in the day as things continue to unravel. And, I don't know. I mean, the market could start here, work its way lower, maybe chop around 7105 again, like it did yesterday after we had that, aggressive drop and rally. This one might just be like a slow decline and then just kind of hang out here. I think I might look at that NVIDIA trade again and tighten up the risk. NVIDIA, we're trading at 202. I mean, I really like that 202.50. So NVIDIA, 202.15. Here is, I mean, that 202.50 is just like dead nuts for a little pin price today. All right, so we're going to try it. So it's going to cost me, So that puts my break even at like 204 and around 199. I mean, at this point, that break even now is like 204.50 and 201. I mean, this isn't a bad play. I just need to, again, let me just do the math on the break even. So 195 minus 550. Oops, sorry. 195 plus 550. So break even is at 200.50. So as long as we're above 200.50 and 195, or I'm sorry, 210 minus 550. So price would have to be less than 204.50 or greater than 200.50. So that still gives me a decent window to make some bucks in here. Perfect price is 202.50. If it stays right there, then I'll make about $200 on the trade, which obviously doesn't suck. That's just if it just hangs out and lingers there. If it just goes a little bit higher, a little bit lower, I've got some wiggle room, right? I mean, price can go up 50 cents or $1. I can still make money on this trade. I don't like that it's backwards reward to risk. I don't like that at all. Let me see if I can maybe flip this around if I went a iron fly. So if we went 207 And that would be 5 wide and 5 wide here. It's about the same. It's the same type of trade. So this gives me credit, and this puts me up to a 204.50 and 199 and change. Actually, this one's a little bit better as far as the profit goes. Let me see if I can get this thing for 205 or 210. I'm going to take this trade on NVIDIA. So 210 not filling. As long as I get over 205, that's a little bit better deal than the butterfly spread. So hopefully we get, let's try to get like 206 or 207. All right, got filled at 206 on NVIDIA. This is, I mean, it's not really a double up trade. If you just, I'll give this trade to you if you want it. I'll post this in the chat. So for Zoom, actually, I'll just type it on the screen. If you want the trade, here it is. So I'm not going to make this a service trade. This is going to be if anybody's watching, which I know a lot of people are watching, but here, this is going to be the trade. So NVIDIA, 424 expiration. I do plan on managing this before the close today. I'm selling the 202.50 call, and I'm buying the 20 or the 210 call, and I'm selling the 202.50 put, and I am buying the 195 put. So it's equidistant iron fly. I pulled in 206 credit. Break even prices. I need price to be greater than. Actually, we'll go less than first. So I need price to be less than 204.56. And I need price to be greater than 200.4. 4. Make sure I did that correctly. So 202.50 minus 206. So 200. Yep. So if price is between 200.44 and 204.56, there's profit on the trade. If it hangs out all day at 202.50 with just a couple of cents, the max profit on this thing is 206. So the way you can calculate your break even and your profit near the end of the day is I don't really want this to settle. Okay, I don't want the broker to have to settle me and say, well, it's in between strikes, you get assigned. So if I can see this trade for 206 and it's offering me, let's say $150 of profit today, $175 of profit later in the day, I'm probably just going to take the profit and move on. So anything, if this is showing less than, let's say 50 cents debit, I'll protect and close. Okay, so if you want to take a moment, if you're interested in the trade, there it is. And hopefully we can make, $150, $175 on this trade near the end of the day. Okay. So that's not too bad on NVIDIA. I'll take a screenshot of this one just for reference. I can reference this later on today. Does anybody need that screen share up still? Otherwise, I want to take a look and see what Tesla's looking like as well. Tesla might be a little bit cheaper to pin, a little bit wider volatility today. Hopefully it's not as backwards, but maybe throwing something in the middle on Tesla. So you've got a little bit of a space here on Tesla. 370 is starting to grow up as the bigger pin price. We're trading around 374 today. Maybe, I could split the difference here. I could do like a 372. But if I think like, well, the 380 is possible, the 375 is possible, the 370 is possible, then you split the difference, right? But you need to make sure the break-even price is, I want the break-even price to be less than 370 and the break-even price to be greater than 380. That's the only way that I take the trade because those three strikes are the most likely pin candidates. So let's see here. I don't mind splitting the difference between 372, but in case, price is going to go up at all today, you have that positive negative gamma pivot point at 380. So I think the 375 is pretty safe to kind of play. It's just not going to be, it's most likely not going to be the pin price. But if I did 375 iron fly, let's go 10 wide and 10 wide. So that puts my break even around 379.70 or down to about the 371. If I went a little bit wider, a little bit wider, a little bit wider, a little bit wider, that's better. I'm risking about $1,000 to make 500. I need my break even. I need price to be less than 380, or I need it to be, greater than 370. Um, it's not awful. 375 is not really the pin price I'd go after. That's me being generous to split the difference. 370 is probably the better pin. If I went 372.50, let's go. That's 10 wide, 10 wide. That's about a 1-to-1. Shoot. Well, here's the drawdown. It's essentially 3 pin prices, 370, 375, 380. I'm only getting a 1-to-1 on this butterfly. So this iron fly is only offering a 1-to-1. So even if I put on 2 of them, if I win one, lose one, I'm break even for the day. Because it's not offering me like 3-to-1, it's not offering me 4-to-1, so it makes it a little bit tougher. If I win one, lose one, break even, that's a pointless trade. So you really have to kind of pick the battles and see, like, all right, if I pin this thing at 375 and I go 10 wide, am I getting enough credit for this thing to give me profit? I know that with this setup, I need price to be greater than 370. I need price to be less than 380. I need price to really just hang out and be at 375 by the end of the day. So anyway, maybe this gets a little bit better and cleaner late in the day. If there's a, big fat pin that comes out, here's what I look for if I'm going to take this later in the day. If one of these is sticking out and the other retreats, something like this, and I find out what this was late in the day at like, 2 p.m. or after, then maybe I'll take that same trade and see if it looks a little bit more favorable for me. I'm just trying to get a more likely pin price. That's all. Okay. But NVIDIA looks okay. We'll see if that iron butterfly works out, and then I'll try to throw in a Tesla as well. If I do take that trade, I'll throw it out there if I take it. Okay. Back to SPX. 7150 and 7100. Again, these are both looking good and promising for pin prices. And we have those levels already set up. So not too bad. Okay. Any other questions for the session this morning? QUBT, I didn't catch that one earlier. QUBT. Quantum computing. You chasing this fad from last year? I mean, I don't know. What are you going to trade here? Are you trying to get long? You trying to sell some premium? It's probably not good. I mean, for an $8 stock, you're probably not doing a lot of option trading. It's probably more like, well, do I like this enough to buy it? If I bought it here, does it go up? Does it have another crazy rip up to $20, $25 for a huge upside potential? Maybe, but I probably won't touch that stock. All right. NVIDIA just sold my 515, 220 calls for 260. Nice. Yeah, I still have some rolls. I mean, I own shares of Intel. I'm doing some rolls. I own shares of NVIDIA. I own shares of Tesla. I'm still doing some rolls. A lot of those I've got like May 15th. I'm just going to roll those out again. My goal is to roll them out and roll them either out to lower my cost basis or roll them out and up and strike so I can increase my net profit. But I'll sit on those stocks for the next, probably 20, 30 days before that May expiration. Okay. What else? Let's take a look at currency lands. So keep an eye on these big levels for today. Currencies on the day. We have the New Zealand dollar, the pound, the euro getting stronger. The Swiss and the dollar and the CAD getting weaker. Right now I have some trades running in currencies. I'm long pound Aussie. I'm long dollar CAD. I'm long dollar Swiss. I'm long Aussie Swiss. That one's actually looking pretty good. I'm up, I don't know, a decent chunk of profit on Aussie Swiss. I'd like a lot more profit. New Zealand getting stronger on the day, which is nice. I'm long New Zealand dollar as well. See if there's some more love there. Okay. What do we have for earnings next week? I think Mag 7's on the horizon for earnings next week. Is it not? Let's go. Let's look at Yahoo Finance and go to earnings. Let's see. Calendar, earnings calendar. There we go. Okay, so for next week, you can't do both. All right. So let's just go here. There we go. 26, 27, 8, 9, 30. If all right, so we'll go Monday to Friday. It gets really interesting in the meat of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you're sprinkling in Mag 7, that's going to be a big deal. If you want to see some all-time highs next week, that's a good time to see it, is having good, solid earnings and having, optimistic forward guidance from these Mag 7 hyperscalers, because that's how the recovery happened. Mags having the rip that it did is what also propelled the stock market to all-time highs. This gain, this is a bull flag. If this is up and posturing and earnings are helping this go higher, we're probably drifting to all-time highs next week if earnings come in solid. They're expected to come in solid. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting at all-time highs, going into the end of the month. They say sell them may go away. I never subscribe to that. I think that's a horrible idea. I'd rather be avoiding like the crazy weakness February, March, April, and kind of being watchful for some of the caution the market throws at us. And then maybe the August September effect when you have Jackson Hole and some illiquid markets during the euro markets on vacation for most of the summer, or August especially. Other than that, it's like I think the performance from I don't know October to April is pretty much the same performance net as like being involved in the markets 12 months a year. So I think that the market bottoming like it did here in end of March, that was a March 31st bottom because we ripped on that Q1, the end of Q1, and then we continued with the ceasefire into April, so that gave the market a big propelled move up. So anyway, Mag 7 with the earnings next week. Let's see what they are. We got a ton. So let's see if there's some notables in here. I wish there was a better way to screen this thing. Let me go to just Wednesday. I think Wednesday after close. Let's see if we can go EPS for support. Here we go. Market cap. Give me market cap. This is okay. Good. It's filter of market cap. So Wednesday we have Tesla, Philip Morris, IBM, Boeing. Wait, that's this week. What the hell, dude? Go to next week. There we go. Can I not filter? Jeez, oh Pete's. All right. So we're sorted by market cap. Anything on Tuesday the 28th? So biggest market cap on Tuesday the 28th, we have Visa, Coca-Cola, T-Mobile, Corning, Starbucks, Spotify, Waste Management. All right. So consumer stuff on Tuesday. Wednesday probably gets a little bit more interesting with Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta. Wow. Packing up those on Wednesday. So if you want to see where Mag 7's going, we'll see what earnings look like on Wednesday to Thursday, because Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta all reporting. Big fat, how many trillions of dollars of market cap is that? A lot. Because you have two tickers here for Google, but you're talking almost $10 trillion in market cap in one evening of earnings. And then Thursday, Apple, Eli Lilly, MasterCard, Caterpillar, Merck, Amgen. SanDisk was one of the best performing stocks this year. Western Digital, same thing. Those have been kind of crazy. SNDK. It's still crazy. Look at this thing. Unbelievable, man. Year to date, it's up, what? 303% year to date. Wow. That's unbelievable. Western Digital. What is the ticker there? WDC. 128%. I mean, those are like little I mean, all I know those from is a thumb drive and like a little external hard drive that I used to have back in college. And these stocks are, up triple digits. It's crazy. It's just it's storage, really. It's computing space, right? Storage. The computing power. It's insatiable demand, and maybe companies like this are benefiting. They're clearly the market's treating them like they are. Yep, we'll see. Do we have inflation numbers next week? Do we have CPI and stuff? Headline CPI. I mean, the market's going to try to spin it a lot of different ways. In my opinion, the market's probably going to spin it. Um, I don't know if inflation's enough to break this market. I don't think inflation's enough to. I think the market still climb the wall of worry because I mean, really, historically speaking, what's one of the better ways to combat inflation? Owning assets. You know, we'll see. But do we have an economic calendar for next week? So next week, BOJ doing nothing, keeping rates the same. Aussie CPI on Tuesday. Wednesday, Bank of Canada looking to have a rate decision. I don't know if they're going to cut. They probably won't touch. We have probably one of the final meetings with Jerome Powell. We have FOMC on the 29th. I think this is going to be a week where do we have a PCE and Fed in the same week? Most likely it's going to be a big nothing burger because it is Powell. It's his last day. I think it's going to be one of his last sessions he has as Fed chair. So that'll be an interesting push for Wednesday. Thursday, pound rate decision, euro rate decision, US GDP and PCE to end the month. Okay, so we have some inflation numbers printing next week as well. I don't think the core PCE stuff is going to it's not going to be noticeable until it's probably months down the road. The stuff with inflation is probably going to be like slow, steady, frog in the pot. It's going to take months to really show up and be like, oh my gosh, CPI headlines over 4%. I mean, we don't know that yet. And I think the market's going to, and trust, like data wise, it's hard to believe that the market's coming out and really showing us like the real inflation number. But you're just going to be told like, well, the oil spike is temporary. Whether it is or it isn't, I think the market is going to spin it that way. And look, we have clearly seen that bad news is actually reacting with positive flows. The average beat in earnings is outpacing the average miss in earnings. So what that means is when a company beats earnings, the average move up is more aggressive than when it misses earnings, the average move down is smaller. So this shows another kind of renewed sense of optimism that this market is willing to reward good earnings versus not punish as badly bad earnings. So that is a pretty healthy sign of this market is still holding out for some risk appetite. So that's a good sign. That just kind of puts in like a baked in support into the markets. Yep. So Fed and PCE next week, that'll make things a little bit interesting to wrap up the month. And then on Friday, light. ISM at 10. But yeah, bulk of the week's going to be Mag 7 earnings. That's a big week. Wrapping up the month, Mag 7 earnings, FOMC and PCE all on Wednesday, Thursday to wrap up the month. So yeah, that gets us into the 30th. And then the 1st is, we don't have non-farm on the 1st. If you stuff that in there for Friday, that'd be a really busy week. But anyway, it's busy enough with Mag 7 earnings. I think that for the most part, we're still going to see the markets trying to go higher. Mag 7 could give it the extra catalyst and lift that it needs. We'll see. Part of me is hoping that the market at least offers a technical correction, just a little bit to buy the dip, or maybe this happens during FOMC. Just look for that. Maybe FOMC is here and then the market uses that as a chance to bounce. I could see some shenanigans next week with all the volatility, all the volatility that's kind of loaded up into the week to end the month. Look for some bounces, maybe around that 7,000 handle, or maybe some pullbacks in this as a Fibonacci zone. So just be mindful, this low, this high. If we pull back like 23 to 30% or find this 7,000 handle, if it bounces there, it wouldn't be surprising and the market still, continues to go higher as it looks to the big picture of what our earnings showing us. If earnings are decent, market's still going to like it. Okay. So just don't be caught off guard by the noise next week because there could be plenty of it with the calendar that we have lined up. All right. Anything else for this morning? Okay. Greg, are you in the house? Greg H, you here watching? I think you are. I saw your name earlier this morning. I'm asking because you gave me two very long emails, and I'm asking if I was able to kind of address and answer some of those questions versus having to respond to those emails. I'll take a look at them, but you just gave me some lengthy emails. I just want to ask. And then TJ, I see your question as well. Okay. If you purchase that expected move box, I'll make sure you have access to it. And I've got a follow up email that goes out, and you have the 18-minute best practices, how to put on your TradingView charts and Thinkorswim. Pretty easy install. Pio says I'm out of the flies for $100 profit. Nice. Was that a iron fly this morning? SPX iron fly, perhaps. Powell's off the hook. DOJ drops the probe. Oh, the two flies. I gotcha. So you're up $100 on the flies already? Okay, let me take a look. So NVIDIA. This is a iron fly. And currently up a couple bucks here. I'll close this for, I'm going to put like a one. I'll go, let's go 40 cents. I'll go 40 cents here. I'll take $166 out of this. I'm going to go 40 cents debit to close this thing. 40 cents debit. See if it's just kind of lingering around that end of day level, hanging out at 202.50 for the day. And then SPX, I'm going to get these labeled. So the put side right here. So that's a double up put fly. This is a double up call fly. So I'm showing put flies up about $50 to $60 while the other one's down. Yeah, that's not enough for me to say I'm taking profit yet. If you did more contracts, then you maybe have a quick, $100, but I'm not getting closed out at maybe $30 to $40 net profit. I'm gonna let these marinate a little bit longer. Okay, T just says I'm here. Send me the purchase link for. I'll send you that in the email. Yeah, that's fine. I'll give you some of those links. Pete says I thought the swap was going to be drained. Please, dude. This is one of the biggest fiscal blowouts we've ever seen. I mean, Trump is going to run this economy hot. The administration is going to run the economy hot. That's probably the path of least resistance. That's probably the easiest way to make sure that we stay in a paradigm C, which is a growth phase. If you want to drain the swamp and doge it, you're going to drain liquidity from the system. So, it's like just a classic kick the can down the road and run this economy hot, and owning assets could be a pretty good way to outpace all this nonsense coming our way. So, I just think it's so difficult to be a bear. Everyone, look, bears sound really smart. I mean, you go watch a lot of YouTube stuff and you listen to podcasts, and people are super smart and they're super logical and they're super rational, but they're not rewarded. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would be an idiot if I'm just like, every time I look at a trade, I got to be short. I got to be short. I got to be short. It's like, look, man, I mean, we had a scare just a couple weeks ago by like, having and I waited until like 10 days in a row before I'm like, all right, I'm going to just do bear call spreads. And we still got burned to the upside on Tuesday last week. Right. So it's just trade your trade. Let the markets be the markets. All right. Powell chooses to stay on the board just to put. No, he won't. He won't. I think that's why Warsh was also hired. Is it's probably going to make Powell just fade into the distance and fade in the background. I don't think he wants any part of this nonsense. That guy can go do whatever he wants. As former Fed chair, he can go do speaking rounds and probably make millions and millions of dollars and just be Jerome Powell. I mean, it was weird. I mean, he was hired under Donald Trump. So the fact that this turned into like a witch hunt probe on Jerome Powell, it's like, I thought he was fine. No Fed chair is good. None of them are good, right? They're always reactive. The only difference right now with Warsh is potentially there's going to be a little shakeup because it may not be as academically based. It might actually be like updating their models and not being as reactive where it has to be this like just constant backstop and actually I think it's is it Bayesian economics where it's all supply side and just constantly providing liquidity and stability. It's like that's not what the Fed is really for. But I just think there's clearly dated models where they're reactive and they're delayed and they're just coming in late to everything. And so they're, quick to hike, or I'm sorry, they're slow to hike and they're slow to raise, and the markets price all this crap in, and all of a sudden they're just like this reactive independent, which is also being questioned. So anyway, look, I think the market's going to test Kevin Warsh. The market will test them in some way. I think the markets might test with a little bit of a nasty pullback, maybe 3 to 5%, maybe 5 to 10%. We'll get some volatility. I still think we look at path of least resistance. Okay. Wants less publicity for the Fed to be, maybe. No one looking for the AMD, but the flying, but it's flying. Yeah, I know. We got some, I got some ratio spreads in AMD. Yep. Man, that thing soared through these highs, didn't it? Wow. Crazy. Look at that thing. Since that March 31st bottom, this thing's up 80%. Straight up. That's the same thing as SMH and SOX. That's a big rip to the upside there too, right? That's up 50% on SOXX, SMH, which is heavily NVIDIA based, but same type of price action there. It's up 40%. So yeah, AMD looking good. AMD looking great. Micron looking great. Chip makers are benefiting. Look at Intel. Do I want to chase these now? No, I just want to wait. Like, give me a pullback. You can buy some dips, right? This is, you don't buy when everything is overstretched above your moving averages. You don't buy that. Wait for price to give you some type of pullback. It's really simple. Like, don't buy when you've got moving averages here and price is up above it. Don't freaking buy it. If it pulls back in bases, it's probably going to bounce, and this is going to be a strong enough uptrend to stay up. But wait for a pullback, and you can scalp the daylights out of these things. 50% drop would be a bubble for me. Yeah, that's what everyone's saying too. But I just don't think the bubble is now. I think the bubble's later. I think the bubble is, I don't know, if Trump loses the midterms, maybe the bubble sooner than later. If we obviously increase our military spending by $1 trillion and we blow the deficits out over $40 trillion, maybe the market cares a little bit more than that. If CapEx spending is on a crazy tear as well, markets just might start draining the system where it's like, look, all of our concentration is still in the Mag 7. Market cap, it's still 30+% of the entire market is wrapped up in 10 stocks. Doesn't change anything really until investors are fleeing the Mag 7 or rotating out of them. I think they're going to continue to reward them because right now in 2026, they went on sale. Mag 7 went on sale in 2026. And so guess what? People bought it. This was down like a 20 to 30% pullback. It was down 20%. Went on sale. Everyone loved it. That was enough market cap to thrust the heavy weighted market cap ETFs up to all-time highs and the index as well. NDX went higher to all-time highs. So did the S&P. The Dow almost. This is the next one. And the Russell, all-time highs. So, I still see the Russell on a trajectory to get up to, measure move-wise, this is a range. This is symmetry. I think the Russell gets up to $300. So, what am I looking for in the Russell? Well, it's clearly a little bit more volatile than the others, but if we have a test and a test and a test, I like to buy the dips and see if this comes to fruition. Buying low and trying to stay long in this thing towards, $290 to $300 wouldn't be bad. It's a little bit cheaper than the other indexes as well. We'll see. I see your comment there, Pete. That's a maybe. Look, if something happens like, Warsh tries to come in and drain, he's not the only person that can do it, right? You have a council, you have a panel, you have a governor's board. Like FOMC has multiple members. So he's chair, but He can't override everybody. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who his alliance is. If he's, I don't think he's a stooge and aligning with Trump. I think he's a loyalist. Um, but I think he's also like going to cement his legacy. It's like you got to know that if you come in under Donald Trump and this is who you were nominated by after all the drama that Powell just went through, um, pretty sure you don't want to be seen as the guy that just became Trump's man and did his bidding. And it's like we do what? Run the economy hot until we crash. Like that's on his clock. That's on his watch. That's under his tenure. You know. So, anyway, whatever, man. It's all speculation. Just freaking trade. Stop worrying about it. Manage risk, folks. Right? Manage risk. All right. VIX hasn't budged at all. Market maker moves, plus 30, plus 40. The VIX is still, we have a total disconnect in this VIX right now. I think this is still just oil price related, maybe a little bit of uncertainty. The market is behaving like it's trading like a 16, 15, 14 VIX, like things are just hunky dory. We had a little flare up this week. We got to 21.60 yesterday. We got up to $21. We still stayed within those expected moves. So, it is what it is. I guess gone are the days that, we can see those 80, 90, 100 point moves expected and we can sell a ton of premium on daily profit play and love it. So we're back into, that 30, 40 zone. And it's about as good as it gets right now. So anyway, long story short, staying bullish on any trend and dips on Russell. I think it looks pretty good. Dow is most likely going to try to get back to all-time highs as long as XLF stays resilient. I mean, here's one thing we did on XLF. We're right at the 200-day. Okay, this isn't where I would say like I'm calling this as a trajectory going higher. But if we have the ability to close higher and break this high, XLF probably gets to all-time highs. I think that Dow goes with it. You've got Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, all those in Dow. Getting XLF back up to these highs is probably a big deal to have some all-time highs in the Dow. But I think you need a little bit more oomph, a little bit more nudge on the upside here. Okay. I just saw something. Lyft is buying out some like UK cab company. Uber still staying pretty resilient. Got some ratio spreads on this. Did I do anything on Salesforce? I didn't. I don't know. This is kind of getting caught up in the software space. Carvana, no. Hims. This attack on pharma, and if everyone saw that, I think GLP-1s, Amazon is kind of putting its hat in the ring and disrupting the Hims and the Novo Nordisks and the Eli Lillys and the makers and the gatekeepers of this peptide stuff. I mean, Amazon, it obviously it's not a maker, it's just a distributor, but the logistics of it, I mean, Amazon's great. We're back to all-time highs on Amazon. So it's funny. Anyone for the last like 5 years that asked me like, what stock would you trade? I've said Amazon for 5 years. Like if you're just going to put one investment in the market, dollar cost average every month or every quarter, put it in Amazon. I mean, it's not like gangbusters. It's obviously not like a Western Digital SanDisk like this year, but it's been pretty steady and we're up, 12.3%. That's outpacing the S&P. S&P's up, 3%, 2%. But Amazon's been steady. It's nice to see it at all-time highs. Real quick on the mags, Apple just off all-time highs. Tim Cook stepped down. Amazon at all-time highs. Broadcom at all-time highs. Google just off all-time highs. Meta got its groove back from a really nasty correction on, pretty much writing off the metaverse for $80-some billion. Microsoft getting its legs back, which is kind of nice to see. I do have my concern that this is setting up for a larger topping pattern. If Microsoft gets treated like a software company, then I'd say you want to watch out for that potential decline. But if they join everyone with the AI race, I mean, everyone's been crapping all over Copilot versus other AI engines. But anyway, I mean, it was a decent buy below the 350 handle. Netflix, nasty little pullback, but I'd still own shares. Content king, streaming king. I've got some ratio spreads in the 70s. Nvidia up to 204.80 today. Well, don't go too high there, Nvidia. Oh, you turd. All right. So there's 205 and 202.50. Come on. That's going to be an annoying trade. Let me see. I mean, I could possibly buckle up to NVIDIA and maybe grab the 205 handle. So if I did a Ironfly 205, so I got 206 on the other one. I mean, this would kind of wash it. I don't really see myself losing both ways here, but this would help me kind of wash the risk. See if I can get, $2 premium and hopefully stick the landing on one of these pin prices here for $2. And ideally, it settled maybe between like 203 or 204, and that would actually pay me both ways, which wouldn't be terrible. So let me see if I can get a buck 98, $1.97. All right. So I'm going to trade another iron fly, and I'm going to try to stick the land in between these two strikes. So between the 205 and the 202.50, if we pin there, that would be kind of nice. Don't go too high. I don't want to freaking lose on NVIDIA today. It's supposed to be like a $2 mover. Amazon and Walmart can't go wrong. I don't disagree. Walmart, yeah, I have some shares, covered calls, ratio spreads. Yeah, Walmart's solid. Even old McDonald's. I mean, it looks a little crappy below the 200-day moving average, but bigger picture, this is a yearly moving average. I would say if McDonald's comes back down to like less than 290 or at 290, it still looks like a pretty good trade. It's obviously expensive, but MCD, I mean, they're basically going to go to like how many employees work at McDonald's now? Sure, you want to make 20 to 25 bucks an hour being a worker at McDonald's, great. You're the only worker in the entire restaurant. I mean, earnings are forecast to grow 7%. They're one of the biggest footprints in the world, 25 times earnings. That's kind of crazy that the cash flow is down to 240. I'd like to think it just holds a trend, but I guess when I look at it, it's all right. I'll give the discounted cash flow model some merit. So I'd say if we just come down here, then I'm going to buy it, or I'm going to hold it and actually have a dividend and some upside. So raise price target to 306. Well, we were as high as 304, but anyway, logistics wise, Walmart. I mean, Snowflake looks good, but we are trading at almost 50 times earnings, which has never been the case for Walmart. And it's pretty well priced in. So, I think this probably just takes a pause, maybe chops around here. If we're lucky to get a chance to buy the dip in the low 100s, 115 or $100 would be great. Obviously, something worse happens overall in the markets, then look for Walmart to get cheaper. But I don't know. I'm just not buying these highs. Ratio spreads, I think I'm down like 90s and 80s and 85s and 80s. Those are a lot of my trades. All right, Benji gets down. Don says high risk trade BYND sold the 7-day, got 15 cents, risk 850 to make 150 bucks. Okay, BYND, that's Beyond Meat, right? Oh baby. What was your strike, by the way? Did you sell the dollar strike? What'd you sell? They have a 50-cent strike. I mean, you'd think the dollar strike. Okay, well, I hope it stays up there for you. I guess my question is, would you keep the shares and hold out for a little pop to the upside? I mean, if you keep the strike at $1, you get 15 cents. You own it at 85 cents. You got lows at 60, and you got recent highs at $1.37. I mean, if you own it at 85 and you can get 30, 40 cents out of it, I mean, they actually pay if you get a little bit of a pop. Yeah. I mean, all you need price to do is, and again, if it stays above $1, keep your profit, obviously. But if you get assigned and it just set a limit right there, it's like price goes up 40 cents, you get, $300-400 on your trade. Yeah. Or you can sell the call. Let's get her to enter Walmart. I'd say, 115 or lower. Just look at the moving averages. If we pull back into, 118, find the 200-day moving average at 113, I'd say that's a decent spot. 1/3. I mean, two spots. If you're, this is a stock it's like you want to have in the portfolio, 115, and then all the way back down here to like $90 to $80. That's my area 1. That's my area 2 to dollar cost average. I mean, if we're fortunate enough to get an entry there, excellent. But I could just see this also going sideways and sideways and sideways. The moving averages catch up. It forms a base here and then just breaks and goes higher. I could see that too. So, all right. What else? So we'll see what happens on NVIDIA. Hopefully we're pinning around a 205 or 202, that 207. We'll see. Don't do anything stupid on NVIDIA. I'm already risking like $500. So hopefully I can get a nice little pin on, the 7150 zone. I might start looking at this later in the day to throw in another pin or two. That'd be pretty exciting. What do you think about Oklo and SMR? Oklo. Oops. Let me go back to SPX. Wrong workspace. This one should be my Gamma workspace. Yep. So Oklo. Is that the nuclear stuff? Yeah, I mean, I'm out of this stuff, man. I was long in the crazy chase. I was long uranium. I was long Oklo. This all worked out to get paid. I didn't chase this stuff. If you like it, maybe selling some puts down here. It's kind of it. I mean, I think it's volatile enough that if it pulls back, I mean, there seems to be a decent base around $50. There's some strong support there. I mean, if you can buy a dip in it, finds a way to carve out some lows, let this thing form a bottom, buy the lows, and either trade it back to range highs or sit and hold it and see if it wants to scream to the upside. But I wouldn't chase this at 75. I would try to buy something or at least put on some options around $50. What's a good strike for NVIDIA? Covered call. I own 200 at 119. Well, Randy, do you want to own the stock or do you want to let it go? I mean, if you don't mind letting it go, then I mean, look at this, by the way. NVIDIA all by itself is going up, and it's dragging. Well, I guess we're not dragging the SP up. Never mind. I was going to say I thought NVIDIA up is dragging the entire market higher, but it's not. I will say one thing. If I lose on NVIDIA today, then it's probably the last time I do a 0DT iron fly. When it's supposed to move like $2 and it's going to move, what? How many dollars has it moved on the day? It is already up from it's already up $7 on the day. Like, come on, dude. That's way off. Anyway, all right. So Oklo. I mean, if the premium is decent, yes, like a 50 by 45 ratio spread seems reasonable if the premium is okay. So Oklo, they have earnings on the 12th, maybe going out, 50 to 80 days. It's a couple of option strikes there or expirations June 18th or July 17th. Let's see what the 50 by 45 looks like. This isn't bad. Buy the 50, sell the 45. I mean, similar to what I was looking at on what was the trade I did earlier today? Where I put the strike at $1. I remember. Why am I losing my brain this morning? What the heck? Oh, Core Weave. There it is. So yeah, I was just thinking of stock. I'm like, all right, well, price comes to me. So on Oklo, I mean, it's an income trade. Lows here around $45. If I did the 50 by 45 or maybe a 60 by 50, that's not good. That one's okay, right? The lows in price around $45. So if we come back to this same low at 45, you'd actually be kind of pinning price there, or at least taking a break even at the lows. This one's not bad for income, but the safer trade to me is a 50 by 45. Pull in $1.10, $1.15. You got about an 85% chance of profit. If you took shares of this, you'd own it at $39. So you'd own it and flip it, hopefully from 39 and just repair it. I mean, if you go out, let's say you own the shares. What I do is if I take a ratio spread and I'm saying, okay, I might own it, then I'm going to go out 30 days and see what an at the money covered call is going to look like. So what's 28 days at the money? I mean, that's pretty good premium. If I own it at $39 and I can get, almost 10%, right? This is a $74 stock and I get 805. I'm getting like over 10% premium for a 30-day option. So if I get 805, I mean that's 11% premium. That's not bad. So I would imagine that if I'm down to $39, I might get like $4, maybe $3.50 to $4 to cover it, repair it. So not a bad trade. Let's do one quick thing here and take a look at the snowflake analysis and see that this is not just some crazy crapshoot. I don't love this. Crazy insider selling, unprofitable, not expected to be profitable the next 3 years. So that's the risk. That's the risk. Is I would say I was, enjoying the crazy chase on nuclear, um, but I don't know. I wouldn't do much with it outside of what I just said. A ratio spread, try to make $100 on it, and call it a day. That's it. Because if it's something like this where it's up and then it just fades, and then it's up and then it just fades, I don't want to be in the stock. There's a lot of other stuff doing very, very well in 2026, and I look at something like this, I'm like, what's wrong with it? So I'll probably pass on that. SMR. Is this all nuclear stuff? I mean, it's the same thing, man. Just be careful. If you got a lottery ticket on it, great. So you buy it here, hope for a squeeze, and get lucky. Otherwise, my risk is it's going to zero. It's probably not going to zero, but I don't want to sit here and pretend like it's just automatically going to go up. It's like I have no idea. I think like the trade has come and gone. That's when you made your money, and now it's just time to build and base and accumulate. I'm sure there's a time and a place to have these shares and get paid. I just look at what's doing well in 2026, and this is not it. So I'd probably stay on the sidelines. Let's see here. NVIDIA makes its earnings. There's an immediate pullback after earnings. Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA is not a big earnings mover, but doesn't really matter when I'm trading today and it's up on the day. I mean, if it's not at 205 or 250, I could potentially lose today. So I'm hoping that it's still going to respect. Now it's the whatever, dude. Now it's the 207.50 is the pin. I don't think I can even sprinkle in that because I've got it all layered in already. NVIDIA for today. I mean, I guess I can do this. I can sprinkle this in. I get 230 credit. Maybe I get really lucky at like the 205 pin. This again, like kind of helps offset some of the risk. This is going to be an interesting day. Give me 235. $234. All right. I'm taking an interesting 0 DT swing at NVIDIA today. All right. I just got filled for 233. So I have 3 iron flies on NVIDIA. I don't know if that's necessarily a great thing, but there is the 207.50s. So 207.50 and the 200 and the 215. So now that I have 3 of these in, if they're offering net profit, I'm just going to take it and close it all down. So right now I'm down about $340 between the 3 trades. If price can settle into, 206 or 205, that'd be pretty good. That'd get me paid on, actually all 3 of them would pay me if I'm at 205. Well, I take that back. This one's going to pay me, that's 204.50. So I'd lose a little bit on it, but not full losses. I'd be like losing $50. So anyway, we'll see how it shakes out. Okay. And then more importantly is let's keep an eye on some SPX butterflies today. 71.50 looking better and better and better for a pin. That looks excellent actually for a pin. Gamma levels here between 71.60 and 50. So, we already have the 50 pin. I might throw in another one later in the day. If this is, sticking out like a sore thumb, I might put another spread in, and maybe get like a 1-to-1 or 1.5-to-1, and try to really nail this thing at the end of the day. Either I do it again at 7150, or I maybe scatter it out. Just depends on if I think that price is, possibly going to fall off of 7150, or maybe we have two gammas up here at 7150 and 60. So if we just hang out around 50 or 60, it's like I wouldn't mind splitting the difference, going to 50, going to 55 if it stays there. But so far, 50 looking pretty good. Yeah, they should show some net profit now. Let's see what they're doing. So the call fly is up about $200. I mean, right now you're up about $100 net profit on the day between those two. If you want to take it, take it. You're up $100, easy $100. Grab it. So as long as you close this one out for, this would be like 620 credit or so. 620 credit, and then this one you're going to be down to 195 debit. Just try to grab a net $100, and your day is done. So you threw a couple bucks at it. If you're throwing in $700, making 100 on that, 100 out of 700, you're pulling in 14% within about an hour and 30 minutes of trading. It's not the end of the world, but we got some profit. Yeah, that's for sure. Looking decent. Okay. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was 11 o'clock already. Holy crap. That is fast. So, couple things before I go. We'll run a little double up service. So a couple updates from me on the just housekeeping maintenance stuff. Look, anytime you have questions on my services, send me an email. Okay. So Chris Pulver Pub at gmail.com. That's the email that I'll use anytime for my services, my alerts, my sessions, whatever. Send me an email, chrispulverpub at gmail.com. The stuff I use every single day. Tanuki Trade, that's 0DTE. They've got the real GEX, real-time GEX. I'm looking at pin prices. I'm looking at all my top tickers. I'm looking at liquidity. Also, my dynamic trend. That's the real-time stuff that I use with those, pre-market and post-markets. If anybody wants to trade with Tasty, there's my referral code. What else? Any of my services. Send the team an email. support@prosperitypub.com, or give us a call, 904-706-3537. I'm going to add a couple of things here. Double up alerts. I'm going to add Telegram. Waterfall income. I'm going to add Telegram. I might as well add newsbreakers as well. I might as well. Make it so it's like, look, everything that I do here, just give me give me a Telegram. That would be a lot easier. The only one that I might not keep a Telegram is crash insurance, just because those are so infrequent. I'm not really worried about those trades unless we feel like we need the hedge. But, I have Telegram for Project Options Edge. I have Telegram for Engineered Options. I have Telegram for Pinch Point. I want to add a double ups, a waterfall. I already have daily profit play. So I'll ask if I can also add newsbreakers. Right. And that way, from me, the trader, I could just type in the alerts when I take the trade, type it into Telegram, and you can have it, instantaneously, instead of that like 30 to 60 second lag when I've got to type it into the team and then throw it in one-click trading. The team will still clone my trades and put it in one-click trading, because I know that some of you, and I will share this link. There is an order form that I would appreciate if everyone would fill out. Let me find the link here. Where is it? Not here. Let me find it. Deanna, I'm looking for a link for, yeah, it's the order form. I can't remember where that's at. Is that in my like Chris Pulver reminders or trading chat? All right. So anyway, what we have is it's an order form to just say, if you would like to execute trades through one-click trading, who is your broker of choice? Because right now, I don't recall I think we have 3 brokers connected to one-click trading. I know Tasty is one of them. I'm not sure if Schwab is one of them because of Thinkorswim, or it's TradeStation. But I'm pretty sure we have 3 brokers connected. And so we're looking for, go ahead. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Oh, perfect. Okay. Excellent. So take that form, everybody. And if you take just a few minutes and fill that out, all it is letting us know, what brokers you work with, and if we can get those implemented or incorporated into our one-click trading. That way, you can literally, as I put the trade in, it's already set up in one-click trading. You just have to say, here are the contracts I want to trade, enter, and execute. That's it. So that makes it. I mean, I've done some one-on-one sessions with members, and they've showed me that it's actually really nice, where you just have the exact same trading. You just pick your contracts and then execute on that broker. So good stuff. Okay, so I'll try to get Deanna on that note. Since we had that chat going yesterday, will you also throw in if we're going to add double ups and waterfall? Will you also throw in newsbreakers? I might as well just round out all my services and throw it in there. If I'm going to have a Telegram, just throw it in there. So that way, everything except for crash insurance would be the only one that I wouldn't really want a Telegram, just because it's infrequent. The other ones I trade a lot and all the time. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, good stuff. Let's fire up a little double up action. We're looking at some pin prices today, hanging out. We're at 71.38. I'm still looking to see if we get filled on daily profit play. If price stays below this line, above this line, great. I just want to, I guess I can accept the credit for right now, though I don't love it. That high is around, let me see. What's it offering right now? We are still hanging out at, oh my gosh, dude. We're at 25 cents today. Never mind. I was going to say, if it's at 50 cents, I might just throw in 2 contracts and try to get $100 out of it. Risk 950 to make 100. Like, I'd be okay with that, but not 20 cents. That's a terrible trade. Yeah, no, that's a bad. I mean, again, I'm going to leave it in case price gets up to like 71.60 or 71.70. We can leave it, but most likely this is not going to fill for the day, which is, again, kind of stupid. It's annoying. Like, you just, and look, I'll say this, even if look, we're out here with a very safe trade for daily profit play, but the premium is garbage. So don't settle for mediocre premium. When we looked at the trade this morning, it was only offering like 50 to 55 cents. That's not the way I want to take the trade. So if price keeps going, there's still a chance it may get filled, but it might be the slow grind all day that it might not get filled, and that's fine. I'd rather not be in the trade than trying to trade too aggressively, too close to the money, higher deltas, and all of a sudden price is testing my deltas, and it's like, well, now I'm at risk. I'm trying to safely trade above and below the expected move every single day for daily profit play. Why would I do anything else? Right? So let's hang out and see. If it doesn't fill for daily profit play, that's fine. I'm going to look at this instead and try to get a pin price on my, butterfly here and my butterfly here. It looks like later in the day we'll maybe nail down that maybe 71.50 is a little bit better, and play around with it. Okay. So we'll see what the rest of the day looks like. But hopefully we're hanging out around like 50-ish and maybe clinging to all-time highs and closing at the high for the end of the week. And then we'll come into next week and see what Mag 7 looks like with earnings plus Fed. I don't know, expect some volatility next week. PCE, Fed, Mag 7 earnings, end of the month. I can see us getting a pullback to, maybe that 7,000 bounce. Okay. So 7150 looking like pin worthy for now, but this could all change in the next couple of hours. Like yesterday, all the drama started at 1 p.m. and really shook the markets for 45 minutes before it stabilized. But I'm going to try to hold out for that pin and maybe throw some trades in later on today and see if I can stack up some winners there. Nice. Davis says took about $120 profit on the double up. There you go, man. I like it. So if you're in double ups with me, you want to take some profit. It's showing profit already. You are up, like David said, about $120. So anywhere between like, 110, 150, and $120. Take the profit. You want to get out? It's 11 o'clock. It's Friday. Go touch some grass. Enjoy the weekend. Peace out. So, all right. I'll keep watching this stuff and we'll talk soon. All right. Thanks, Deanna. Let's grab the screen and I'll keep updating Telegram and stuff for the day, and I'll see y'all later.